My name is Tim Vick. I am the city manager for the city of Manchester. Prior to 2010, well, actually in 2010, we did have a low-head dam down here. 2010 is a year I refer to as the year of the Great Flood. That's the one that was a record flood here in Manchester. It's also the year that the Delhi Dam went out. So we had a lot of people looking at our downtown at that time, trying to figure out what we could do, because we had a number of properties down here that were flood damaged. How are we going to remedy that as well? And if you take buildings out downtown, how do you repurpose that land to make it a viable location instead of just a liability? So we started out having a number of conversations. A group called Good to Great, kind of a grassroots group, formed, started looking at different things that Manchester did not have but could use to move us from a good community to a great community. And one of the subcommittees out of that group started looking at our riverfront and how we can incorporate that back into our downtown. So then we started looking at our trail along the river. Well, that eventually turned into a river trail. And from there it turned into, well, if we got rid of the Lowhead Dam and put in some drop features like they did in Charles City, and we're talking about in Elkader, how could we improve and enhance the environmental quality of our water, our river, allow fish passage north and south through the river, and recreational aspects of the river for us, and bring our downtown back down to the river. So through that group, we were able to start working on designs for removing the Lowhead Dam and putting in 6 drops. That wasn't without a number of challenges, and of course it didn't happen overnight. It took about 2 years of groups meeting together and talking about things in order for them to formulate a plan of what they'd like to do, for us to start talking to the rest of the community and say, this is the idea that we'd like to see move forward. And from there, getting funds, whether it was grants, fundraising, or working with the city council to put some money towards this project that was a little out there, a little weird for everybody, but it was something they were interested in seeing happen. And so when we started talking about removing the dam, there was a lot of concerns about what will that do to the aesthetics of the downtown, because that water level is going to drop. And so working with the engineers and the designers, we were able to decide, okay, let's do 6 drops, because it was a 9-foot dam, 18-inch drops. That's where the numbers came out to. We were able to keep the backwaters back upstream at the same elevation as what it was when the dam was in place, but that dam had moved upstream about 400 feet. There was a challenger for a little bit. There was a little bit of a learning curve. We had a number of fishermen that were passionate, that wanted to maintain the river the way it was, because that was their fishing hole. They have now agreed that this is much better than what it was in the past. The fish can get through. The DNR did a fish study, they tagged fish, and they were finding different breeds and species going upstream, getting through our fish channels. We're seeing more people down here fishing than we've had in the past. It's not uncommon to come down here on a weekend, a nice weekend day, and see 20 people down here, where in the past you might see 2 or 3. Paddlers, there has been some conflicts because the paddlers are going through and the fishermen are trying to go through. It was a learning curve. They learned to get along. Yes, you don't want to get in their fish line, but at the same time, it's an open river. People come through. So it's taken some time, but I think everyone's gotten along and they've got it figured out now. The impact of our downtown has been huge. We've had two businesses put more than $1.5 million into our downtown to renovate buildings, put new businesses in our downtown. And the reason they came here and the reason they did that was because the Whitewater Park was there. We've had other businesses that cleaned up, upgraded their facilities, because it does attract people. We have a microbrewery, Franklin Street Brewery. They had an option to build in Cedar Rapids, but they came to Manchester because of the Whitewater Park. They're across the street. Their attraction, and they're bringing people in from outside of the county because they are fabulous brewers. They do great with their microbrews. But they put a lot of money into their building. Another business opened up and they put a large outdoor deck overlooking the Whitewater Park. We know people are being drawn into town to look at this. I've talked to a few of my classmates and my colleagues across the state, and they're drawn to this. And this is a vocal point for people. They talk about the Whitewater Park in Manchester.